The explosive courtroom drama surrounding music mogul Sean Diddy Combs has entered a critical and highly anticipated stage. The trial, which has gripped the entertainment world and sparked heated public debate, is now rapidly approaching its climax. All eyes are on the courtroom as bombshell after bombshell continues to drop. And this time, it's about to get even more intense. Why? Because the man once dubbed Diddy's drug mule, Brendan Paul, has officially arrived in court and is expected to testify in the coming days. And what he might reveal could change everything. Let's break down everything happening, from courtroom chaos to secret deals to who might bring the final blow in this historic case. The trial nears its end, and everything hangs on the closing. First off, Diddy's trial is closing in on the final stretch. After weeks of testimony, dozens of witnesses, and an avalanche of evidence and allegations, the prosecution is preparing to make its closing arguments. The closing statements are expected to play a crucial role in this case, especially given the scope of the accusations. Multiple sources connected to the courtroom have revealed that the prosecution believes it has built a solid narrative of a years-long criminal enterprise led by Diddy involving trafficking, bribery, coercion, and silencing of alleged victims. Much of the prosecution's case rests on powerful testimonies, some from former assistants, others from alleged victims, and a string of documents and surveillance footage. Jury turmoil threatens to delay justice. But while the case itself is on the brink of closing, procedural issues are threatening to slow things down. One juror has already been dismissed after it was revealed he lied during the jury selection process. That kind of misstep can derail the credibility of a trial if not handled correctly. On top of that, a second juror, en route to the Manhattan courthouse, reportedly experienced a medical emergency, specifically vertigo, and was unable to attend court. His partner contacted the court immediately. The federal judge overseeing the case acknowledged that without this juror, proceedings couldn't move forward for the day. While it remains unclear whether this juror's absence is temporary or permanent, the prosecution made it clear there was no reason yet to excuse him. Proceedings have been postponed and are set to resume on Friday. Diddy will not testify, and that speaks volumes. Perhaps one of the biggest revelations this week came when it was confirmed that Sean Combs will not be testifying in his own defense. Initially, there were reports that his lawyers couldn't keep him off the stand, implying Diddy was eager to tell his side of the story. But now, in a surprising reversal, multiple sources confirmed that he will not take the stand. This could signal a shift in strategy, possibly due to advice from his legal team that testifying would only open the door for aggressive cross-examination and potentially do more harm than good. Given the gravity of the charges, some of which could land him behind bars for the rest of his life, many saw his earlier eagerness to testify as a desperate Hail Mary. But his decision to step back suggests that either his legal team believes they've poked enough holes in the prosecution's case, or that Diddy is simply trying to avoid additional scrutiny. The Brendan Paul twist, Diddy's so-called drug mule, takes the stand now to the most jaw-dropping development of the week. Remember Brendan Paul? The man arrested at the airport in connection with Diddy's case? His name surfaced in headlines last year when, amid a sweeping raid on Diddy's properties, Paul was caught trying to board a private jet. Reports stated he was in possession of cocaine and marijuana and was branded Diddy's drug mule in several media outlets. Here's where it gets interesting. Paul's federal drug charges were later dismissed, completely, just like that. Confirmation, Brendan Paul to testify under immunity. Fast forward to now, Brendan Paul has officially entered the courtroom. On his first day, he invoked his Fifth Amendment right, refusing to incriminate himself. But that was just the beginning. A few hours later, he was granted a full immunity order, meaning he can now testify without fear of prosecution. According to official court updates, Paul is expected to take the stand in the next session, this coming Friday. His testimony could be monumental. Why? Because Brendan Paul was inside Diddy's inner circle during the alleged criminal operations. If he confirms any of the key allegations or introduces new evidence, it could be devastating for the defense. What will Brendan Paul say? So what might Brendan Paul reveal? Sources close to the investigation believe his testimony could focus on drug trafficking operations, and how they were allegedly conducted through private flights, witness intimidation or hush payments, direct orders or behavior from Diddy behind closed doors, the real story behind the events at the airport when he was arrested. More than anything, Paul's insight could validate or contradict claims already made by other witnesses. This includes 6 women who have testified that Diddy paid them to travel across state lines for the purpose of engaging in prostitution, clear-cut grounds for trafficking charges under federal law. Christina Coram's role still looms large. And let's not forget another key figure, Christina Coram. Her name has been mentioned repeatedly by witnesses as the alleged ringleader of many behind-the-scenes operations. Allegedly, Diddy's right-hand woman Coram has not yet testified, but sources indicate she may be one of the final names called to the stand. If she speaks, her testimony could tie up major loose ends or add entirely new dimensions to the case. What's left? Only the big names and the closing statements. At this point, the defense has presented very little in comparison to the prosecution. While Diddy's team has denied the accusations, they've yet to present a comprehensive counter-narrative. With high-profile testimonies stacking up, many observers believe the case may be moving toward an inevitable outcome. And as we approach the final days of this trial, the closing statements could be the last major push needed to sway the jury one way or another. The prosecution is expected to remind the jury of key elements, such as Diddy's use of legitimate business structures, staff, credit cards, and corporate vehicles to allegedly carry out criminal acts. His alleged involvement in violent acts like the explosion at Kid Cudi's property. Testimony from hotel workers and assistants who claimed they were paid off to cover up incidents, including the infamous surveillance footage of Diddy attacking Cassie. The big picture. Is a conviction coming? At this point, many legal analysts believe the government has made a compelling case. The combination of physical evidence, eyewitness testimony, whistleblowers receiving immunity, and Diddy's choice not to testify all paint a damning picture. Prosecutors argue that Diddy essentially ran a racketeering operation, using his businesses and power to conceal an underground criminal empire. While some still ask, how is he being charged alone in a RICO case? The reality is simple. Everyone else is flipping. His so-called accomplices are lining up to testify to avoid jail time. From hotel staff to bodyguards to assistants to Brendan Paul, it's clear that the government's strategy is to isolate Diddy as the central figure of the conspiracy. Whether the jury sees it the same way remains to be seen. But one thing is certain. The next few days could define the legacy of one of the most powerful men in hip-hop history. Stay tuned, because this story is far from over. The courtroom may be quiet today, but when the trial resumes on Friday with Brendan Paul's testimony, we might finally hear the story behind the headlines, and possibly witness the collapse of Diddy's empire in real time.